she will dance all night. If the beat's alright, she will dance all night. If the beat's alright, she will dance all night. If the beat's alright, she will dance all night. If the beat's alright.
Sizzling 99.9 KSIZ.
Talking baseball in Minnesota. Ernie Allen and Molotov. Kralik had a no-hit game. Kirby Puckett, what a shame. Heisel, Herbie, G-Man had their day. We love to watch them play.
Hey guys, we're back here on Talking Twins. It's Wednesday. We're here on KSIZ, Sizzling 99.9. Of course, it's time when you hear that song for another edition of Talking Twins with myself, Bradley Swanson, and Darrell Yates. We're here to give you guys another week of Twins baseball. And with that, let's get into it this week. Now, of course, guys, before we start down on the farm, we want to mention there's a couple of different ways you guys can reach us. Of course, you can always come out to our website at www.talkingtwinsbaseball.com. You can always reach out to us on Facebook as well at facebook.com/talkingtwins. We'd also appreciate if you guys come out and see us on Twitter. We're at Talking Twins. You guys also can come out and check us out on Instagram as well. We'd love to see you out there as well. With that, it's Talking Twins Baseball. And if you want to shoot us an email too, let us know things you like about the last episode, things you want to hear in the future, whatever that is. Just give us that general feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys. TalkingTwins@iCloud.com. Now, there's a couple other shout-outs we want to give out to this week. One we want to give out is to Jared Sheridan over at the Minnesota Twins Pro Shop in Minnetonka.
Yep.
He was really good last couple of weeks. I stopped in there, got one of the new 2015 jerseys and hats. Jared and his guys were awesome in the store. They recognized Talking Twins. They sat and talked with me about Talking Twins for about 10 to 15 minutes during the trying on.
Is that the Minnetonka one?
Yeah, that's the Minnetonka Pro Shop.
I'll be at the Roseville one this week.
This is the Minnetonka Pro Shop right up by the Ridgedale Mall. So Jared and his guys were great in terms of, trying on the gear. I mean, just, talking Twins baseball. They were awesome. The other shout out we want to give, and it's going to lead into next week's episode, is we want to give a shout out, guys, that this week we're taking a little break off for the Thanksgiving holiday in terms of the Voices of the Twins interview series. But don't think we're done. That comes back next week to us, guys. We have Larry Ward from the Chattanooga Lookouts. Now, that's our brand new AA affiliate. You may remember the old New Britain Rockcats. They're now the Chattanooga Lookouts. Larry's going to come with us next week. We're going to talk Twins baseball with Larry. We're going to kick the Voices of the Twins.
That's going to be a fun one because they're loaded.
It is.
I want to get his perspective, and he's been there since God was in third grade. I mean, come on. He's been around a while, so his perspective is going to be great. And
it will be fun, and also with that, we'll talk to Larry. We'll bring the Voices of the Twins series back next week. So we want you guys to know that, we're not ending the series yet. We're just taking a Thanksgiving break off for that series. We'll be back next week with Larry. But we didn't come empty-handed for Thanksgiving. Not at all. That's not how Talking Twins rolls. So what we did for Thanksgiving is we decided to bring in a special guest, and that's former Minnesota Twins pitcher Cole DeVries. Cole's going to come on tonight with us, and obviously we're going to talk about the Paul Molitor signing.
Well, the entire coaching staff.
Yeah, Eddie Guardado, Neil Allen, obviously everything from the pitching side. Yeah, we're gonna definitely jump into that and talk.
He's
going
to be fun.
Yeah, Cole.
He's a great interview. This is the third time now we've had him on Talking Twins, and he's a lot of fun. You guys are going to love him.
Yeah, Cole's never shy, topics to talk about, just general fun. Cole is
he's kind of like Jamie. He'll tell it like it is. He'll just say it. He doesn't care. I love it.
That's a great way to put it. And so before we get to that, guys, on Twins Chat, before we get to that interview, we're going to do a little down on the farm this week, but we're going to have a little fun this week because we want to kind of recap, since it's the end of the season, AFL's done. Pretty much all our minor league guys, they're done playing baseball.
There's a couple of guys in the winter. Aaron Hicks is done now. I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yep.
Aaron Hicks, he actually was released.
He was released.
And that was 2 weeks ago now. We didn't have time last week to mention it.
Yep.
We'll talk a little bit more about it later, but I think that says about he just might be done.
Yeah, and we'll get into
see.
And next week we'll get into a little bit more of the guys that are still left playing in the Winter League. Guys like Chris Parmalee, Kenny Vargas, Danny Santana, some of those guys that are playing Winter League ball. We'll kind of develop next week on how those guys are doing. But this week, we wanted to kind of cover the 2014 draft, since it is that wrap-up end of the season, cover how the Twins have done in that draft. And so Darrell's highlighted a number of guys that we're going to cover here and down on the farm. Some of these guys performed, very well in their first season.
There's 40 guys taken in the draft. This isn't like the NFL where there's seven rounds, and maybe you trade back in like the Vikings. They trade in a couple times, and we've seen what they've done. And you got your basketball. There's 2 rounds. Well, here there's 40 rounds. Now, not everybody signs. Some stay in school, go to college, whatever the case might be. And out of those 40, you kind of hope to hit on half, maybe.
You'd hope,
to kind of fill your rosters up because you got all these. You got Elizabethtown, you got your E-Town, you got Cedar. I mean, you're just trying to. You got your Gulf Coast League. You're just trying to fill up your stats. And our first pick out of the 40, first pick, Nick Gordon. And Nick Gordon did everything I wanted. He didn't. He just great. And let's just preface this by the 2014. Now, it's a lot can happen from now until, let's say, 2019, when we probably see most of these players that actually make it. But looking at what they did right away, I was impressed. A little shocked in a way because they didn't take starting pitching, so to speak. They took a lot of flame-throwing college arms, only a couple position players. But I thought they did the right thing, and as I went over this week and I was looking at the draft pick, Brad, I think this could be one of the best drafts they've ever had. And I say that because, okay, the first one, Nick Gordon. Now, at first, I know I kind of jokingly, talked like you got to eat crow because I wanted him and you wanted a starting pitcher right away. But we needed someone that could be the answer for the next 10, 15 years. Now, he's got the pedigree. He's got the father. He's got the brother. We know Flash. D. And he didn't. He definitely didn't disappoint out in E-Town.
I was going to say, I just look at the numbers, Darrell. I mean, the fact that he had a 294 batting average,
yes,
333 on base percentage, and slug 366. Now remember, nobody's asking Nick Gordon to slug the baseball, so it's not like
he's not a Ken Herbeck. He's not he's not going to mash the ball.
But what I liked is the fact that he stole 11 bases last year and only 8 errors in 220 chances. That's the part I like.
That's huge. And the Twins are big sticklers on that. And now Paul Molitor is going to come in even more, I think, than Gardy or TK did. I mean, he's going to be a defensive-minded coach, and I'm loving that. We're going to talk more about that in Talking Twins. And 8 errors, that's okay. He's a high school kid coming into play.
That's totally okay.
And he's playing with the bigs. Okay, but you nailed it right there. The 11 swipes, he wants to be Flash.
Aggressive.
He wants to be like his dad.
Aggressive, yeah.
Now, he'll never be D. Gordon. D. Gordon scored 50-something. He is lightning fast. He's lightning fast.
But if you told Nick that, though, I bet you Nick would say...
it might spark him up a little bit. And we're going to get a chance to go see him when we head out to Cedar Rapids. That's going to be a lot of fun.
We'll definitely do that.
He's one of my favorite newcomers to this team. And, we missed a chance with Byron because he was out there for half a season, so we're going there right away.
He was quick, though.
And every analyst is projecting Nicky Gordon to be on that same type of path. So if we want to see him, and if any of you guys want to see him play, take that hour and a half drive out there.
Get there quick, though.
You want to be there the first half of the season, otherwise you're out to Fort Myers.
Yeah.
So Nick Gordon impressed me 100%.
But now go with another Nick. I want you to talk about the other Nick Birdie.
And that's Birdie.
Yes.
You know what? He was the first of the flamethrowers. You know what? His first couple outings, I know you were really hard on him, and you were screaming at me because I was happy with this pick. I was actually really happy with this because it was a hard-throwing, strike-throwing college kid. And yet,
I'm just hard on everybody, so.
No, and that's fine. That's fine because you look at some of the past draft picks. And sidebar, guys, next week we're going to talk about some of the less than stellar picks that the Twins, maybe our top 5 worst draft picks in the Minnesota Twins history. We're going to ask you guys to help us out with that. But Nick Birdie, anything but. Nick Birdie, he appeared in 20 games. He ended up with a couple wins, 5 saves. His ERA was a solid 2.66 with a 186 run against. And now you tell me and remind everybody else what you say on a big league level, Brad. What's a pitcher? And the average pitcher has a batting average against is what?
Well, I mean, normally it runs in that 230 to 250 range.
Exactly, 230, 250.
To me, if he's got a batting average against, or if it's under 200, he's mystifying hitters. I mean, he's flat out owning guys at the plate. And Nick Birdie, obviously with a 186 averaged against, tells me that.
Well, I'll break it down even more because
please do.
In 7 appearances at Fort Myers, here in a save, he was 2-0, 12 Ks. He walked only 2 and didn't get up a single run.
Now, also mention what he was averaging for Ks per 9 innings, though.
And this is huge. 16 Ks. Now, wait. Let's put this out.
Say that one more time first so that they make sure everybody grasps this.
Right. 16 Ks, so 16 strikeouts, per 9 innings. Now,
Man.
it's there's a formula to it, and he only appeared in 20 games.
But still.
I mean, that is phenomenal. He's a strike thrower. And again, when he got promoted from Cedar and then to Fort Myers, he helped lead them to the championship.
Totally.
Okay? And I predict, and so let's back up. Nick Gordon, I predict 2015, Cedar Rapids. I think you agree with that, Cedar Rapids.
Totally agree.
That's where I could see him. And if he plays like he did this year, we can see him in Fort Myers.
Yeah, he's in
Birdie,
Cedar Rapids for half a year,
yes.
and then Fort Myers. Yep, exactly.
Birdie,
Yep.
I think he'll be in Fort Myers. I think he'll start out in Fort Myers.
He's not there long then.
And he could make it. He could jump 2 levels, kind of like Jose Barrios. He could be in a Minnesota Twins uniform even by the end of the season.
He may at Chattanooga for a little bit, but yeah,
but if he's throwing like he did,
yes,
if he's throwing and consistent like he
could
did,
hop right past Rochester.
And
yes,
that's why the Twins went out and got these college arms.
That's a big point. Exactly why, because you don't have to wait for these guys to necessarily mature through all that.
They've
process.
already done it. You just have to fine tune it as long as they're hitting the spots. He could be one of those quick risers.
And then you mentioned that college piece just real quickly, though. That maturity is a big part of it because now, a lot of times you run those younger guys through all the levels, so they build that maturity. They build that. With the college guys, they've already been through all those.
They've been coached there.
Yeah.
They've been there.
Exactly.
They've been to the College World Series.
Those situations already happened. Yeah, exactly.
So our third pick was Michael Cedarroth, and I was really happy with this pick. Now he started out in E-Town, and the Twins actually. Now he was a relief pitcher in college.
Yep.
But in 11 games, he went 4-2 with a 3.55 ERA. He was 42 strikeouts, 18 walks. So that's a little bit of walks.
It's a little bit,
but his batting average against again 227.
Still under that mark where
very,
he
very solid.
Yep.
So again, now they put him out there as a starter. They want to see if they could get him out there. It could be because he could be long relief. Maybe he eventually is in a starting rotation. Maybe he's just he's a relief pitcher.
But I think
they're giving him a shot at being
and at Cedar Rapids, and I think that fits for that specifics because then they can give him time to find out down there. Are you a starter? Nope. Okay. Are you, like you said, are you a long reliever?
And he did just fine in E-Town.
Yep.
So again, he's gonna be another one where you can see in Cedar Rapids.
Yep.
And if he continues on like he did last year, he's gonna be a fast driver. Again, this is a college arm. This isn't someone like Cole Stewart or Jose Barrios coming right out of prep school. This is a college arm. He's ready to make the move. So as long as his command is there, as long as he's doing everything he did last year, he could be up as high as AA by the end of the year. And then in 2016 is when we'd see him in the bigs.
And it's funny because the next guy on our list, fans, is almost a carbon copy in a sense. He's he's from E-Town as well. Similar numbers. A little higher ERA, but similar strikeout to walk, and that's Samuel Clay, Darrell.
Well, and Samuel Clay, they went back to back college arms, and Samuel Clay appeared in 19 games, 2-1. Now his ERA a lot higher. He was up there in that 5.59, 44 Ks, 17 walks. I think that he'll probably be in Cedar Rapids. Now they could make him actually in E-Town. It kind of depends on where they need. So it depends on what their 2015 draft looks like. That's going to depend, and then he'll make that quick rise. Jake Reed, we all know, we talked about him ad nauseum because of the AFL. One of the first pitchers to get drafted, and then the same draft, he's brought up to the AFL and only gave up 1 run. He had a 0.71 ERA. He's impressive. He could be in a big league uniform mid-August, maybe sooner. Anthony Sorzak, we're going to get into this in Talking Twins. He actually was released by the Twins because they didn't want to pay the $1.5 million he was going to be due, and I don't blame them because look what they did. They drafted all these college arms. I just named 4, and Jake Reed. If not Jake Reed, it's Nick Birdie. It's one or the other. Flip-flop it. One of them is going to be in the rotation right away.
And the key is all 4 of them are cheaper. Number one, they're younger, and they're cheaper. And I'm sorry, fans, but that's how it works. I mean, if these guys got that kind of heat and they're younger and cheaper, that's the route you want to go because then it leaves
You're not going to spend $3 million for a relief pitcher.
I want more resources I want more resources for other places where it's needed. And so I have no problem. I think this is the smart move, honestly. I think
this is a great move. And if you can convert just one. One to a long relief for starting pitcher, and that's Michael Sidra. That's perfect.
I mean, Darrell just nailed it on the head right there. You're not trying to hit the home run on every pitch. If you can get one or two of these guys to play out, you've done your job as a front office, as a scouting organization. You've done the work.
Now, for three guys I wanted to know, for Jake Reed, that strikeout to walk ratio, or strikeout per 9, 11K per 9 for Jake Reed. Fantastic. John Curtis, 6th-round draft pick, appeared in 9 games, started 6. He was 2-1 with a 2.3 ERA. Now, this is in E-Town, so the quality of talent isn't as great as Fort Myers, Cedar Rapids, but his command was great. 41 strikeouts, 7 walks, and his Ks per 9, 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. So he'll probably start out Cedar Rapids, probably get to Fort Myers, but another good, solid pick. And then you got your guy, Max Murphy.
Yeah, I got to talk about Maxie a little bit.
9th-round pick.
Exactly, and that's what I love about him is the fact that, a 9th-round pick, this isn't a guy that was a 1st or a 2nd-round pick or was, one of those coveted stars. No, this is a guy that, obviously thought a little bit, and I love to see that 309, 403, 5.56 split. Because
so 309 batting average,
yep.
403 on-base percentage, and a 5.56 slugging.
In other words, fans, he's hitting the baseball, he's getting on base.
14 long balls.
And he's driving runs in. He's doing all those things. This is a guy that we want to see. I mean, 14 homers, 14 doubles, 41 ribbies. I love his fielding percentage, too. This is a guy that we hope in the future, Max Kepler, is going to make a splash with this Twins organization.
Well, Max Murphy here, though, fielding 983, only 2 errors and 110 putouts.
That's huge.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Position.
And now he's 2-3 years away, obviously. Yes. At best, we're going to see him in Cedar Rapids, and he'll probably play a full season because, let's be honest, our outfield talent is really, really deep. In the minors. In the minors. Not in the majors.
Yes.
In the minors.
In the minors, yes.
And the last one that we got to talk about, our 10th round pick, I got to talk about Randy Leblanc.
Yes.
Because you didn't hear about him at all during the season. And
I think Randy was in the witness protection program for a portion of the season.
Although he pitched 17 games, he started 2. He ended up with a 1-3, but with a 2.7 ERA, 34 strikeouts to only 4 walks. I mean, he was dominant.
It's amazing.
But a lot of times, guys don't get called up right away because of the signing. They don't sign right away. If you remember, Nick Gordon, because of his father, because of his brother, he was one of the first players in all of the draft to sign. He just wanted to get out there and sign. He wanted to play.
And that family piece, obviously.
And that was a huge part of it.
Yep.
But these other guys that don't have that, and they're doing the right thing, they got to get that first paycheck, even though there's a tier system.
Yep.
And when you get to that 10th round, okay, you're trying to figure out where everybody else is getting slotted in. But once he did, he impressed me. I was really happy. So he'll probably start out in Cedar Rapids again. And Cedar Rapids is really looking like it's going to be a loaded up system, at least for half the season.
Yeah, exactly. And Twins fans, what we're trying to preach here, what we're trying to bring to you by this segment is definitely check out some of the younger talent we've got in 2015. There's going to be a lot of that younger talent in Cedar Rapids, Fort Myers, Chattanooga, even some in Rochester. Just don't miss getting to check out that talent before it moves past your eyes.
And unlike football, it's not like you draft the player in the first round, he makes a difference right away. Baseball takes time. And I know it's frustrating because the Twins have had 4 consecutive 90-loss season, but baseball takes time. And you have to have consecutive years where you have spectacular drafts, or even just that one dominant and then a few good ones. Here, in my opinion, they had 10 knockdown draft picks. And out of those 10, out of the 40 that they drafted, if 5 become superstars, we got a hell of a dynasty on the way. And that's not to mention the guys we had drafted last year, Cole Stewart, year before that with Barrios and Buxton. I mean, they're looking really, really solid. And again, it's one of the reasons why we have one of the, depending on what site you're looking at, either the top 2 or top 3 farm system in all of baseball.
Yeah, definitely like Darrell said, it takes a little time. But with that, guys, give the time to stick with these prospects and give Talking Twins the time, because we'll obviously continue to keep bringing you guys, in-depth coverage of these prospects. And obviously, we'll keep covering the minor leagues in the offseason. We'll bring you guys all the way to spring training, so you'll be ready when we hit Fort Myers, for all these guys, both young and old, and the veterans and the young guys.
And a little teaser, come January, we're going to be interviewing a special minor league player that was in Fort Myers. I'm really excited about that. We'll just throw a mustache man out there right now, but we're going to have a little fun with you guys in January.
Yeah, we'll just say that. We'll just say that for the guest right now. The current hit is Mustache Man. You guys can throw in.
And he had one of his biggest hits of his career thus far a few months ago.
You guys can chime in on Facebook, Twitter. You guys can decide if you want to guess who that player is before the January 7th interview, and we'll come back to you before then. We'll answer that question and who that guy is. But with that, guys, we'll be right back here on Talking Twins for our Twins Chat segment this week. And, of course, Cole DeVries is going to join us here for our Thanksgiving edition of Talking Twins. We're going to sit down and talk about the Paul Molitor signing, the other coaches' signings this week as well. And with that, guys, we'll be right back here on Talking Twins for Cole DeVries on KSIZ, Sizzle 99.9.
This is Sizzling 99.9, where the MSP comes alive.
guys, we're back here on KSIZ, Sizzling 99.9, where MSP comes alive. This week, we're talking Twins. We've got our friend. He's a guest, been on for us many times. Cole DeVries, former Minnesota Twins pitcher. We're always glad to have him back on. And Cole, hey, we thank you very much for coming on Talking Twins this evening. We greatly appreciate you coming on tonight.
No problem at all. My pleasure.
Thank you very much, Cole. It's always awesome. We appreciate you coming on. And obviously, we've had a lot of news in the last couple of weeks, Paul Molitor, all that kind of stuff. But let's get into the most important question first. What are you doing for Thanksgiving tomorrow?
Actually, taking it kind of easy. Last year, my family and I, we went to Thanksgiving dinner at a restaurant, and my mom absolutely loved it because she didn't have to cook and spend, 6 or 8 hours doing all that stuff. And so we're doing that again this year, going to Jimmy's in Eden Prairie, I think, and just going to go there with the family and have dinner at a restaurant.
So now you're going to have your a turkey and stuffing? This is Darrell, by the way, Cole. It's good to have you on again.
Yeah, thanks. They do all that kind of stuff there. You get your choice of white meat, dark meat,
nice.
Ham, and then they bring all the sides family style, and and then you get seconds if you want it, and they bring out dessert, and then they also give you stuff if you want to take home.
Now, most important, you have football on.
That's yep, and always should be able to see it from the bar, from where we're sitting.
Nice.
But if not, it's only going to be an hour, so I'll be able to get home, and that's why someone invented TiVo.
That a boy.
Very nice, Cole. Hey, with that, let's go ahead and get us some Twins talk this week. I'm sure on Talking Twins, our fans would love to hear that. But obviously, we've had a couple of big signings this week, Cole. I mean, in the last week, 2 weeks, we've had a manager signing. Now we've got a pitching coach, a bullpen coach, a bench coach. The first thing I guess I want to ask you, and honestly, I'm going to ask you this because you and I have a little personal side on this. I'm going to ask you what you think of the Paul Molitor signing. What I would also love, if you would mind for our fans, is to relate a story that I know that involves you, Paul Molitor, and Danny Valencia. After what you, but first give the feedback on what you think of Paul Molitor. Then please give that story because our fans would love it.
Sure. I think Molly's going to do a great job. It might take him just a little bit of while to kind of adjust to being a manager because it's something totally different than what he's done before as a roving instructor for the Twins. But I think once he kind of makes that transition and kind of really gets going in it, I think he's going to do a great job making, crucial on-field decisions that should be able to help him. And then also, I think where his strongest suit is going to come in is his knowledge of the player personnel that the Twins currently have on the big league team, and then also who's getting fed up to him in the next couple of years. And with the Twins, we all know that they're going to be young the next couple of years. So with that, I think he's going to also do a great job of relaying his knowledge that he has in the game because it's so unbelievably vast to those younger guys and getting them on the big league level hopefully as quick as possible.
Hey, Cole, this is Darrell again. Now, before we get into the other managers, because I agree, I really like Paul Molitor. I thought that was a great signing by the Twins. I just think for the fan base and for the organization as a whole, Paul Molitor was the right choice. But what does the brass have to do to set him up for success? I mean, they got some great coaches around him, but what players did they need to bring in? Obviously, we had the lowest ERA again. We scored some runs. That's good. But what do you see that the Twins need to do, or you project they may do in this offseason or during the winter meetings?
Oh, good question. I really think one of the biggest differences in between the Twins team right now and for the last couple of years, and kind of that, what was it, maybe 2010, kind of right around there when they had Santana, all those guys, and they were in the playoffs every year. I think one of the big things that they're missing is that front line for real number one starting pitcher that you can almost 100% count on is going to give you a win when he goes out, or at least puts you in a position to get a win. And Philly Hughes had an unbelievably great year last year, but that's not really his role anymore. He's not one of those guys. And so I really think they need to try and secure a 100% frontline pitcher, and I know that's going to break the piggy bank a little bit, and the Twins just don't like to do that, but...
Yeah, because it's not like they're going to go out and get Price or Scherzer, I don't think.
Right.
It'd be nice.
And so, it really would. But why I say that, I think they need someone like that for 1 or 2 years, because they do have some guys coming up in the system that I think have maybe the potential, and every time you talk about potential, it's always a speculation game, but have the potential to maybe be someone similar to that for them down the road. But they need a transition player to help them in that interim time. So I think they need something like that. I think they need to lock down their outfield a little bit more. That outfield was a little shaky this last year. I mean, there was a lot of guys coming in and going out. Yeah. And they need to get some more speed out there. A pitcher's best friend is always a turn and burn outfield. That was one of my most favorite things when I was pitching. If I knew I had 3 speedsters back there behind me, it makes pitching so much more easy because you don't have to be as fine. You can let them hit the ball up in the air, and you let your guys run it down.
Well, you actually opened up 2 questions I wanted to ask. So let's go. We'll go right there. You ended on outfield, so let's do that. What Torii Hunter? I mean, if Torii Hunter comes back, what does that mean to the player development? Because obviously he'd be a great mentor. I mean, he's a phenomenal center fielder. It sounds like, I mean, everything I've heard about Torii Hunter, he's great in the clubhouse, and he's obviously he can still produce.
Yeah, that would be a very interesting situation if he came back here, and I think it's one that they might actually entertain just because the front office should know how young they're going to be for the next couple of years, and they need guys, and I've heard the exact same stuff that you just said about how good of a guy Torii is, really kind of helping young guys out, this and that. And so that might be something that they need to kind of help bring their team along for the next couple of years. So that I think that would be a really good person to bring in. And yeah, I mean, just like you said, it's kind of amazing where Torii is age-wise and how much he's actually still producing. So
well,
I mean,
I loved watching him play. I mean, he made everything. He was doing all the plays that we saw Kirby Puckett play, do when we were kids, and then he came around and it's like it was seamless transition. He just did it. He was phenomenal.
Oh, definitely, and that's one of the things I think the Twins, like I talked about, are really kind of missing in the outfield right now. And I thought that Bernard, when we had him a couple of years ago, was doing a good job of every year progressing his game and getting more and more like a Kirby or a Torii. And we got rid of him, and then we had a guy, Ben Revere, who wasn't going to be hitting home runs like Torii did and doesn't have the arm that Torii does, but Ben makes absolutely insane plays.
Well, he had the speed.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, as a pitcher, you can always count on Ben giving you a top 10 SportsCenter play. I mean, once a week, once every other week, something like that. And so we got rid of both those guys. There's a big gap out there. And I think bringing someone in like Torii who can, now kind of fill that position on one of the corners and then maybe help out a center fielder because he was such a great center fielder, I think that would be a good move.
Well, speaking of Span and Revere, obviously we traded them for a couple of stud pitchers, and the next thing I wanted to ask you is, well, first of all, let me, when you were pitching, did you have a favorite pitch or one that was considered an out pitch?
I thought for an out pitch, my out pitch was my curveball. That was always my bread and butter. If I needed an out or I needed something to happen, action pitch, that was always mine for me. But the other thing that I always tell people when they say, what was your best pitch? For me, my best pitch always depended on that day that I took the mound, because some days it was my curveball, some days it was my fastball, some days it was my changeup, and so I always tried to rely on what my best pitch was that day.
Well, the reason I asked you that is because, we got a couple pitchers coming up. Alex Meyer, Jose Barrios could be coming up here in the latter part of the year. And I'm wondering if you can give some sort of perspective, if a pitcher can be considered an ace if he has 2+ pitches, rather than 3 and 4. Verlander's got 4. Keen Felix has got 5. And Alex, from everything I've seen, he's got obviously the plus fastball with throwing triple digits, and he's got a hard slider. He struggles a little on command, but he's got a changeup as well. And you got Jose Barrios, who jumped a few different levels this last year. He's got a fastball that he can decrease and increase velocity, solid changeup, and he's got a hard curve that he's working on as an out pitch. And those are 2 guys that we can see possibly coming up and being that top guy, like you were saying, that the Twins need. Now, if they have 2 solid pitches, can they be an ace, or do they need to develop 3 or 4 pitches?
Oh, good question. It is one of those things. I think it's tougher to be a frontline pitcher, a for real number 1 or solid number 2 in the big leagues with 2 pitches. It doesn't mean you can't be one, but it's just more difficult. And the reason why it's more difficult is because each time you go out there, those 2 pitches have to be on. Because if they're not, and you don't have that 3rd pitch, or maybe that 4th pitch that you kind of throw out there every once in a while to keep them honest, it gets real difficult to hit when the hitters get up there and they know that they're only looking for 1 or 2 pitches. So you can be, but it makes it a lot more difficult. And Alex was one of the guys that I was thinking that, because I saw him pitch 2 or 3 times 2 years ago when I was rehabbing. And first time, like you said, my one and only gripe on him is sometimes his control's all over the place. And so the first time I saw him pitch, it was a bit all over the place. Most of his fastballs were coming in, belt high, and they hit him a little bit. He was walking guys. Second time I saw him pitch, he was actually I'm making his first start back, I think, with the AA team when I was rehabbing, and I was thoroughly impressed at what I saw when he was pitching. I was actually up in the stands charging him. I mean, I don't think his fastball dropped below 95. His curveball that day was filthy. His changeup was, coming in 95 miles an hour. That was maybe bad when guys' changeups were about as fast as my average fastball. But
well, and as a fan, it was kind of it was almost frustrating because I know he had the shoulder problems and they wanted to really keep on that inning count, but I think everybody wanted to see him up at least in some role last year or this year, 2014. But he really does seem like he has all the makings. But you're right, he does have that command issue, but he gets a lot of guys to swing and miss.
Oh, definitely. And it's one of those things also, for every mile an hour that you can throw over a fastball, over 90 miles an hour, that is just a little bit less fine that you have to be. So when you're out there and he's feeling good and he's sitting 95 to, 97, 99, wherever his top end is, I know it's somewhere up there, he doesn't have to be quite as fine. So you can get away with a little bit of that control issue that he might have from time to time with that fastball, as long as he has those 1 or 2 other pitches going. Because up in the big leagues, if he doesn't have those other 1 or 2 pitches going outside that fastball, that doesn't matter because they will sit and wait for that fastball. And 95, 96, 97, when you're throwing that to Miguel Cabrera or one of those guys and you pipe one, oh boy, it's going to go a long way.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't hurt him that he's, just shade under 7 foot and he throws triple digits, left-handed. So, by the time that his release hits, he's got a split second and it's in the glove.
Yeah, that's the other thing with him too, is that with how tall he is, and he does a really good job of keeping himself nice and upright, so he gets max angle on his pitch, and it looks like it's almost coming downhill when he throws that ball. He gets some good angle, so that helps him out a ton.
And hey, Cole, this is Bradley here. And hey, one thing I want to ask you, Cole, is we know now that they've kind of started to solidify some of the coaching staff. And one of those pieces, Eddie Guardado is the bullpen coach. I mean, just kind of give us your feedback. I don't know if you've got any personal working knowledge. I mean, not working knowledge, but Eddie being around the club, or just what do you think as that fit as Eddie Guardado as the new bullpen coach?
Eddie was always, and I'm sure he was always around spring training for, I want to say, 2 or 3 weeks, just kind of hanging around, helping guys out here and there. And I didn't interact with him all that much, but from everything that I've heard of him and just kind of what he seems like personality-wise, I think he's a great fit for the team more than even just being a good bullpen coach. I think he'll be a good bullpen coach because he's got a ton of knowledge, pitched forever in the big leagues. And so the younger guys that are coming up, if they're the bullpen guys, he's a good guy. If they're warming up and they're all over the place, that he can maybe tell them, hey, you're gonna tweak this a little bit, just to kind of help them out. And the other thing that I like about him being on that team is, as I'm sure you guys know, the Twins teams are never really known for being that crazy of a team with the guys on the team. And so I think he'll bring a really fun atmosphere.
Wait, Cole. Wait, you said this team's not very crazy, but I remember your rookie hazing picture, and I'm not getting into it, but I mean that seemed pretty crazy with that club. So I mean, you guys had some fun back then. But I know what you're saying. I do know where you're going. The Twins are kind of known as being that more
conservative.
Yeah, conservative, straight-laced, and I agree with you. I think that maybe this is the time you do kind of open that up a little bit. You know, I mean, it's
especially with some of the younger guys that we have coming in.
Yeah.
You know, we have some personality. I think this is what this ball club needs, is some personality, some moxie.
Exactly. It's been pretty.
It's been pretty Magoo. It's been pretty Magoo. Let's be honest. And now that we have some of these young guys coming up, you know, we got Miguel Sano getting in trouble a little bit for showboating, but I think we need a little bit of that. You know, we not you know, so much arrogance, but we need a little bit of that strutting our stuff to get us back to our winning ways.
Well, the two big things I think come off of that is, number one, the fans like seeing some of that, just because it's fun to watch as long as it doesn't get ridiculous. Then no one wants that. But as long as it's fun and, you know, the guys are just having a good time, the fans love watching that. And second of all, I think it creates an even better clubhouse atmosphere, which is something that you really need to get through the rough patches that happen in every season when you're on, 3, 5, 10-game losing streak. You need those guys that are a little crazy on that team so everyone stays loose. Everyone wants to go to the park that day. So those are the kind of guys that you need, like the Eddie Gordaro and Sano and Kenny Vargas. You know, he's a little bit of a character. All those guys, you need those kind of guys to keep things lively in there, just to keep everyone on their toes and keep everyone into the game and the season.
No, I agree 100%. You know, so when Paul Molitor was named skipper and then the coaching staff started coming down, I was really impressed with what they did. And I know there's a lot of fans out there that were a little upset that didn't go outside the organization. And really, you look at the names that are coming down. You got Tom Bernansky. Neil Allen really is the only guy that, Neil Allen, the new pitching coach for the Twins, he's the only guy outside the Twins organization. I think it's a great, great hire. I mean, if you're part of the Tampa Bay organization, you're doing something right. I mean, when it comes to pitching, they've kind of got it down pat. You know, James Shield, Price. You know, can you speak on that a little bit about, okay, they hired a lot of their guys within the organization, but only one out. Is that a good thing, bad thing? And your thoughts on that?
Good question.
And excuse me, let's add that there's not a lot of coaching experience either.
No.
And I think that's okay. I really think that's okay with this new regime.
Yes, and the way that I think any situation like that is okay, because the player or the playing experience that the coaching staff has is impeccable. And the only way that I think that can be a detriment is if the coaches don't really know how to relate or talk properly with the players. And the guys that I know that are on the coaching staff right now that I've either been around or personally worked with, I don't think that's an issue at all. I think they're all great guys. They know how to interact. They know how to speak to the player individually and not the group, which I think is what you really need, because you need to work the guys' strengths. and not talk to everyone in just a basic format. So I think they'll do a really good job with that. And, I don't know, maybe they went outside of the organization for a pitching coach because that's maybe where they think they're weak at. And going outside was a way to kind of bolster that. And you're totally correct. I mean, Tampa Bay has had one of the better pitching staffs, from start to back for the last number of years. So, and you're right. Anyone who's in their organization has definitely been doing something correct, and hopefully they can translate that here with us.
Well, it seems like Gene Glenn, he's got the most coaching experience, and I think he'll probably be, if I had to guess, Paul Molitor's right-hand man. Now, maybe not. I could be wrong, but because he's worked with so many of the prospects and the players on the roster right now, and he does have a lot of first base, third base, bench coach experience in the bigs, I think that was a fantastic, I think it was a needed hire. Your thoughts on Glenn?
I really like Gene. I think he is an extremely honorable stand-up man. There's no way I could ever say anything bad about him. And I think he also has just an unbelievable baseball knowledge. And one thing I think is kind of funny about him is when you talk to him, even though he was an athlete, in an athletic profession, he's actually got a real intellectual mind about him. And I think that's something that's really good to have on the bench, to kind of have someone to thinking through things. And I think that'll be great. And the other thing that I think Gene does really well is he's an unbelievable player scout. So you have Molly on there who can pick apart other teams unbelievably well. And then you also have Gene sitting there on your bench, who was a scout forever and a very good one. And you're going to have him doing that also. And so you're going to have two unbelievable guys who are going to be picking apart the talent that's coming against us. So I think it's going to be a great situation.
And Cole, I mean, one of the things too, I think the Twins need to see a veteran or two on the team that can also, in a sense, act like that. Do you see, on this team, I'm not going to just say Mauer. I know a lot of people just yell that name immediately. But do you see a name or two on this team in 2015 that can kind of be that guy from a player on the bench standpoint? Kind of that veteran that can help out? Because this is going to be a younger team. I mean, there's just no getting around that. It's going to be a younger ball club.
Definitely. And kind of being that voice for the team, that's not Joe's thing. Being the outspoken person who's going to kind of keep guys in line, that's just not his thing. So to expect Joe to take on that role 100%, I think is completely ridiculous. Now, Joe does have an immense baseball knowledge, just because, he's in his early 30s and he's already got 10, 11 years in the big leagues. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous.
Exactly.
But, so, and little situation-to-situation basis, Joe really does, and will go up to players, and he did for me when I was pitching. We were talking about hitters coming up, this and that, and he'll go and talk to him, but for Joe to be kind of the leader on the team, that's just not him. And for anyone to think or to want Joe to be that, you're wanting him to be something that he's not. And so that's why someone like a Torii Hunter coming in, I think, would be great, because I've heard that kind of Tori's totally okay with being a leader and taking on a role like that. Outside of that, there aren't many guys on that team, and I don't know any of the new guys that came on, last year, and so I can't comment on them. But yeah, there isn't really that kind of strong leadership voice on that team, so that might be one of the little parts that they might be missing.
The one player I was thinking of is Brian Dozier. He seems to have that personality that, and he's only a third-year guy, but he seems to have that personality that could be the clubhouse leader. That Joe, not that he can't be, but it's not like you said, it's not his personality. It seems to be like that could be Brian's, if not someone else, as it is right now. And I agree 100% that Torii Hunter could be that guy, though, if they went and got him.
Yeah, and from talking to some of the guys last year, it kind of sounded like Doge was trying to take on that role a little bit. The one thing that's tough when you're in a situation that he's in, this will be his, second or third full year, is that you haven't been up there for a real long time, so you got to kind of watch who you're talking to, trying to be the leader with, and then also if there's other guys that have maybe a year and a half of time, and if he's trying to be their leader, then sometimes you kind of run into the dynamic where they're sitting there saying, "Come on, bro, you got half a year more than I do up here. Don't tell me what to do." So I can see him being that down the line. It might be a little bit of a difficult role for him to take on right now, just because he doesn't have the same amount of service time as a lot of those other guys. So that's the only situation where I think it might be a little difficult for him.
No, yep, totally understood there. And hey, guys, I can't believe it's went so quickly, but we're already at the top of the hour here, so we already got to wrap up our show for this evening on Talking Twins. Number one, I want to say, Cole, awesome interview. I can't believe the 25 to 30 minutes just flew by that quickly, but here we are, and it's already time we got to wrap up. I definitely want to thank you for coming on. We definitely would love to invite you to come back before spring training if we could have you on and just obviously talk some more Twins baseball, pitching, and everything in that realm, before the 2015 starts, if you'd be open to it. So,
and if you want to come to the studio, we'll get you a gin.
Yeah, we can definitely work that gin and tonic for you too.
It might be a real interesting broadcast.
Well, it'll be a good one.
A couple of those.
Well, we definitely
for sure. Let's work something out.
We definitely will. We'd love to have you back, Cole, and we always appreciate the time on with you. So yeah, we'll definitely get a hold of you, Darrell and I. We want to say thanks to you, and again, yeah, we'll
have a safe holiday.
Yeah, have a safe holiday. Exactly. Well, we'll give a shout out to you before spring training to have you back on again. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect, guys.
Hey, we appreciate it, Cole. Thanks very much for coming on tonight.
Thanks, Cole.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, have a good night, Cole.
Bye.
Hey, guys, we also want to mention, though, before we run out of here on KSIZ Sizzling 99.9, we do want to remember that talking this evening, we've got some shows as well. We're not done here in Talking Twins. Laura's going to be on at 6 o'clock with the MSP Collective. She's got Bruised Violet this evening, so definitely tune on in. 7 o'clock, we got the Ring General. They're going to do a best of hour this evening. And then finally, of course, at 9 o'clock, hey, Shoes is going to be kicking it off at TGI Fridays, and little slingo out there, little bingo slingo with Shoes, and go ahead and do that. Have some fun tonight, guys. Tune in. Definitely don't miss the rest of the shows we've got for this evening. For Darrell, I'm Bradley. This is Talking Twins on KSIZ Sizzling 99.9, where MSP comes alive, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Ernie Allen and Molotov. Kralik had a no-hit game. Kirby Puckett, what a shame. Heisel, Herbie, G-Man had their day. We love to watch them play.
How do we survive?